The Princess in Chains. The desert planet of Ralcor was hot and cruel. Winds howled through the alien marketplace, carrying dust and the smell of oil and metal. Humans were rare here, and when one appeared, aliens stared, whispered, and moved away. But Jace didn't care. He had walked across galaxies and he had seen worse. He moved through the marketplace with purpose. He was looking for spare parts for his broken ship, but something else caught his eye. A crowd had gathered. People were shouting, laughing, throwing small rocks. Jace pushed forward. What he saw made him stop. In the center of the market, chained and barefoot, stood a tall alien woman. Her silver-blue skin was covered in bruises. Her long white hair was dirty and tangled, falling over her face. Beside her, a little girl clung to her leg, tiny, scared, and shaking. The guards around them shouted in the alien language and pulled on the chains roughly. The girl cried out. Jace's heart tightened. "Who are they?" he asked a merchant standing nearby. "Royal trash," the alien merchant spat. "Used to be a princess. Now she's nothing. She protected humans during the war. Her people turned on her. She ran. Now she'll be sold like meat." Jace looked again. The woman's posture was proud, even in chains. Her eyes, when she raised her head, there was something in them. Fire. Dignity. Pain. Suddenly, the woman's eyes locked with Jace's. She didn't speak loudly, but her lips moved. And in perfect standard English, she said something that froze him. "Please, take me as your concubine, but protect my child." Jace blinked. He thought he had misheard. Did a princess just beg to become his concubine? One of the guards saw her looking at Jace. He laughed and kicked her down. The girl screamed. The mother didn't cry. She simply covered the child with her arms. Jace felt anger rise inside him. He had no plan, no weapon, but he stepped forward. "I'll buy her," Jace said loudly. The guards turned, confused. "I said I'll buy her." "And the child? How much?" The lead guard looked at him. "You? A human? Why would you want her?" Jace didn't answer. He pulled out a small bag of galactic credits and threw it to the guard. "That's enough for 10 slaves, take it." The guard counted the credits. He laughed, nodded, and threw the chains to Jace. "Enjoy your pet, human." As Jace grabbed the chains, the alien woman slowly stood. She was tall, almost his height. Her daughter peeked from behind her leg, eyes wide and glowing faintly. She was clearly different. Not fully alien, not fully human. A mix. Jace didn't speak. He only nodded and gently touched the woman's wrist where the chain was tight. "Let's go," he said. They walked in silence back to his ship, people staring at them the whole way. The woman limped. The girl held her mother's hand tightly, and Jace stayed close, ready to defend them. When they reached the ship, he opened the hatch. The cool air inside was a relief. "You're safe now," Jace said, turning to face them. "I don't know who you are, but no one will hurt you here." The woman looked at him, her face calm but tired. "My name is Ylira," she said. "Once, I was the princess of Zareth. Now I am hunted, and my daughter is half human. That is why they want to kill us both." Jace stared, shocked. "Your royalty?" "I was," she replied. "But I broke the law. I fell in love with a human. I gave birth to his child. That is why they call me traitor." Jace looked down at the little girl. Her skin shimmered softly in the light. She looked up at him and gave a small smile. Despite everything, she trusted him. "Why did you say those words in the market?" he asked. Ylira lowered her eyes. "Because I had no choice. If I begged as a royal, no one would care. But if I begged as a concubine, maybe a man would protect us." "You did." Jace was silent for a moment. "I'm not that kind of man. I won't take you as a concubine. You're not my slave." "I know," she said quietly. "But thank you for saving my daughter." The ship hummed around them. Outside, the planet roared, but inside, For the first time in years, the princess and her child felt a small sense of safety. But deep in the shadows of the city, someone had already seen the exchange and sent a message to the royal fleet. The traitor princess is alive. And a human has her. The ship drifted gently in low orbit around a small gas moon. Jace sat in the pilot chair, staring out at the stars, lost in thought. He wasn't sure what he had gotten himself into: a royal alien woman, a glowing child, and a quiet message that haunted his ears. Take me as your concubine, and protect my daughter. He didn't understand her world. He didn't even understand her, but something deep inside him refused to walk away. Behind him, he heard soft footsteps. I fixed the girl's sleeping area, said Yalera, standing tall but tired. She was scared. She hasn't slept properly in days. Jace turned, slowly. Why is she scared? Yalera paused. Her expression didn't change, but her voice lowered. Because they're coming. Jace leaned forward. Who? My own people, she said. The royal seekers, silent ships, trained hunters. They were sent to find me and erase me. Jace's brow furrowed. Because of Mira? Yalera nodded. Because I broke the oldest law. I loved someone who was not Zareth, a human. Mira is the proof. She walked over to the ship window and placed her hand on the cold glass. I was next in line for the Zareth throne. I stood in the great chamber and promised to lead with wisdom. Then the war happened. And I met him. Mira's father. Jace watched her closely. I tried to keep our love a secret, but he was captured, executed. My pregnancy was discovered. She turned to face him now. Instead of killing me, they sentenced me to shame. My title was stripped, my name erased from the history stones. And the one command they gave, Jace whispered. What was it? Hide the child. Or die. The ship beeped. A small red light blinked on the console. Incoming scan, Jace said. Yalera froze. It's them. Jace flicked a few switches. Ship ID. Not showing. But stealth mode? Confirmed. They've already found us, she whispered. Jace turned to her. How do they always know where you are? Yalera looked down. I think they're tracking her. Jace stood and walked to the back room. Mira was sitting on the floor, drawing strange glowing shapes in the air with her fingers. Small energy trails followed her movement. Yalera rushed over and gently stopped the girl's hands. Not now, Mira, she said. The girl blinked. I'm sorry, Mommy. I just feel warm. Jace studied the room. The lights flickered slightly. Static hummed in the air. She's giving off power, isn't she? He asked. Yes, Yalera said. It's called the pulse, a gift of the royal line, but it's unstable in hybrids. It activates when she feels emotions too strong. Jace looked out the small side window. I'll take us down to the nearby asteroid field. We can hide there. No, Yalera said. They'll expect that. Then, what do we do, he asked. She looked him dead in the eye. We run toward danger. What? There's a human outpost in the old war zone. They hate Zareth ships. If we fly through their space, they might attack the Seekers. Jace blinked. You want to use humans as cover? Would you rather die in space? She asked calmly. Jace paused, then nodded. Strap in. The Wayfarer turned hard and entered hyperspeed. Alarms rang as nearby gravity fields pulled at the hull. The ship shook violently. Mira cried out from the back, covering her ears. Yalera held her close. Breathe, little star. It's just the storm. Jace gritted his teeth. 3 Zareth ships following. They're faster. They'll catch us in 20 minutes. Then, static on the radio. A voice broke through. Unidentified vessel. You are entering human-patrolled territory. Identify or be destroyed. Jace flipped the mic on. Human ship Wayfarer, civilian transport, carrying refugees. 3 hostile. Zareth ships behind me. Permission to pass through. There was a pause. Then the reply came. Bring them closer. We've been waiting years to return the favor. As the Wayfarer shot past the border beacon, 3 human war drones launched from a hidden moon base. They roared into space like wolves let loose. The Zareth seeker ships hesitated. Too late. In a blaze of fire and metal, two seekers exploded. The third turned and ran. Jace let out a breath he didn't know he was holding. Ylira stood behind him, stunned. "You really did it," she said. "No," Jace replied. "We did." He looked at Mira, who now smiled quietly. Ylira walked over to him. For a second, she said nothing. Then softly, "You could have sold us. You could have walked away, but you didn't." Jace turned. "I'm not here for money," he said. "I'm here because someone has to care." She touched his hand. "Then you're not just my protector, Jace." He raised an eyebrow. "Then what am I?" She looked down, her voice barely a whisper. "Maybe something more." It had been 5 quiet days aboard Jace's ship, the Wayfarer. The human trader had given Princess Ylira and her daughter a small cabin. Nothing royal, just a clean bed, fresh water, and food that didn't smell like poison. For the first time, in a long while, Ylira could sleep without hearing screams, but the peace was fake. It was thin, like a blanket full of holes. Danger still waited outside the ship, and inside, something strange was happening. Jace noticed it first. The little girl, who Ylira called Mira, was not like other children. She barely spoke, but when she did, her voice echoed faintly as if it touched 2 worlds at once. And sometimes, when she got scared or upset, the ship's lights flickered. Jace assumed it was a technical fault until the 4th time. It happened during dinner. Jace placed a warm meal on the table. Mira reached out to grab it, but her hand slipped and knocked over a metal cup. Water spilled onto her lap. She froze. Ylira's face turned pale. "No, don't panic." But it was too late. Mira's eyes lit up, literally. Glowing rings of purple and silver formed in her irises. The air around her began to hum. The metal table shook slightly, then bent inward as if pulled by invisible hands. A spoon rose off the table and hovered. Jace stood frozen, his hand halfway to his knife. "Mira," Ylira whispered, her voice gentle. "Sweet star, remember what I taught you. Inhale. Calm. We are safe here." Mira trembled, but did as her mother said. Slowly, the glow faded. The table stopped shaking. The spoon clattered to the floor. Silence. Jace stared. Ylira looked away. "Now you know." He didn't speak for a while. Finally, he said, "What was that?" Ylira took a deep breath. She has the royal pulse. It is a rare power that runs through the bloodline of the Zareth Empress. But it hasn't been seen in centuries. Some thought it was a myth. Others feared it. "She's just a child," Jace said. "But to them, she is a threat," Ylira answered softly. "They fear what they cannot control, and because her father was human, they see her as a mistake." Jace clenched his jaw. "A mistake? That's insane." Ylira nodded. "To the old empire, yes. The royal pulse is supposed to awaken only in a pureblood royal. Mira awakened it early, too early, and with emotions she cannot yet control." Jace thought about it. If this child's power could bend metal and hum through the air like that, what would happen if she screamed in fear, or cried in rage? "You've been running to protect her," he said. "Yes," Ylira said, "and not just from hunters. There are scientists, royal priests, and warlords who would take her, use her, or worse, cut her open to see what she is." Suddenly, the ship's alarm blared. Jace jumped to the pilot console. A red signal flashed across the screen. "Unknown ship approaching. Fast. Someone's on our tail," he said. Ylira's eyes darkened. "They found us." Jace cursed under his breath. He grabbed his blaster and turned to her. "Take Mira, hide in the maintenance duct under the floor panel. Go now." Ylira nodded and picked up Mira, who clung to her silently. Jace locked the cockpit. His mind raced. He had no weapons powerful enough to fight a warship. But maybe, just maybe, he could outfly them. Outside the window, a dark shape appeared. a sleek black scout-class vessel with the royal crest burned into its side. They weren't just being hunted, they were being tracked. Jace turned to the comms unit and flicked a few switches. To the ship behind me. This is a private civilian craft. I am transporting no wanted cargo. You have no legal right to board. The reply came instantly. This is Royal Scout I-9. You are carrying traitor Ylira and a forbidden hybrid. Surrender. Now or we will open fire. Jace narrowed his eyes. So this was it. He had a choice. Run, fight, or give them up. He didn't even need to think. Come and get us, he whispered, and slammed the thruster controls forward. The Wayfarer jolted and shot forward like a bullet. Engines screamed. Jace pulled every trick he knew, sharp turns, gravity dives, smoke trails, but the scout ship followed. Down below in the duct, Mira held her breath. Her mother hugged her tightly. And then, Mira's hands began to glow again. Not now, Mira, Ylira whispered. You must stay hidden. Please. But the girl's eyes opened wide. He's scared, she said softly. The human man is scared. Ylira felt a jolt. Could Mira feel Jace's emotions from here? A tremble passed through the ship. In the cockpit, every panel went green, systems overcharged. The ship flew faster, too fast for an old model. Jace looked around. What the hell? Back in the duct, Mira smiled. I helped him. The ship drifted in deep space, engines damaged, systems flickering. After the escape from the Royal Scout vessel, the Wayfarer had managed to outrun its enemy, but only barely. Jace sat on the floor of the engine bay, sweat dripping down his face. His hands were dirty with oil and heat burns. He had worked non-stop for 6 hours, patching wires, sealing leaks, and forcing the cooling system back online. Ylira stood silently nearby, watching. You saved us, she said finally. Jace didn't look up. No. She did. Ylira glanced at her daughter, Mira, who was curled up in a corner, asleep. Her small chest rose and fell slowly. She looked peaceful now. But Jace remembered what she had done. When their ship was about to be caught, Mira had somehow connected to the engines, boosted them with her strange power. She had changed the ship with her mind. I don't even understand what she is, Jace whispered. Ylira walked closer. She's not a weapon. She's not a monster. She's a child. A miracle child. Jace stood, wiping his hands. A miracle that's going to get all of us killed. Silence hung between them, and then Ylira stepped forward. Her voice shook, but her eyes were strong. I want to make a deal. Jace raised an eyebrow. What kind of deal? The kind that makes you fight harder to protect us. I'm already protecting you. Ylira shook her head. You're helping. Not protecting. Not truly. You haven't committed to this. Jace crossed his arms. What are you saying? She looked into his eyes. I offer myself to you, not as a slave, not as your prisoner, but as your concubine, your partner, if you'll have me, in body, in duty, in everything. Jace was stunned. He took a step back. What? Why would you? Ylira stepped forward. Because I need you to stay, to fight for Mira when I can't. To choose us, even when the entire galaxy is against us. I know what humans think of concubines, but in Zareth it means more. It means devotion. It means trust. Jace frowned. And you think selling yourself is trust? No, she said firmly. I think giving myself freely is trust. You saved me. You gave my child a home. And I see how you look at her, like she's more than just a burden. Jace turned away, emotions stirring inside him. He had seen war. He had killed. He had watched men take alien women and break them. And now, this woman, this fallen princess, was offering herself not from fear, but from hope. I don't want you as a prize, he said finally. I'm not offering to be. One, Ylira replied. I'm offering to stand beside you, as one mother, as one warrior, as one woman who needs help. Jace looked at her. Her white hair still bore dust. Her robes were still torn, but her posture, it was unshakable, noble. And for the first time, Jace realized, she wasn't offering her body, she was offering her fight. Suddenly, the ship's warning light flashed. Red again. Ylira's face turned cold. They're tracking us again, aren't they? Jace checked the radar. No, this isn't the Empire. He tapped a few buttons. A small ship hovered in the distance. Not royal design, not military, more like a smuggler's brand. Then the transmission came through. This is Commander Val Tren of the Voltari Syndicate. Hand over the girl with the glow eyes, or we'll tear your ship apart, Ylira hissed. They've placed a bounty on her. How much? Jace asked. Enough to make every criminal in the sector chase us to the edge of the stars. He sighed. Then we'll need allies. People who aren't afraid to take the fight to the royals. You know such people? She asked. I do, he replied, eyes narrowing. But they won't fight for free? She smiled faintly. Neither do I. Jace looked down at Mira, now awake, rubbing her eyes. I'll make contact with my old war crew, he said. They don't like royals, but they hate bounty hunters even more. He turned back to Ylira. If we do this, if I accept your deal, then you're not just my concubine. You're part of the crew. That means you take orders, you wear a blaster, and you protect us too. She stepped forward and placed her hand on his chest. I already do. The stars outside looked peaceful, but the wayfarer was not. Jace stood in the cockpit reading a secret message on his wrist pad. The message wasn't from a friend. It was from someone in his old crew. One of the few smugglers who still owed him a favor. I'll meet you at the Hollow Moon. Come alone, don't bring her. Jace didn't like the tone. In the back of the ship, Ylira sat with Mira, brushing the girl's hair gently. She had changed. Her face was cleaner now, her eyes brighter. Mira was laughing softly, playing with a piece of scrap metal like it was a toy. Her powers hadn't acted up in 2 days, but Jace knew it was only a matter of time. Ylira looked up. You're leaving? Just to meet an old contact, Jace said. He may help us hide, maybe even smuggle us to a safer sector. Can we trust him? Jace hesitated. We used to fight together, but people change. He looked at Mira. Keep her safe while I'm gone. Ylira nodded. Always. The Hollow Moon wasn't a moon. It was a broken mining station floating in a ring of debris. It was dark, rusted, and filled with danger. Smugglers, bounty hunters, and pirates all came here to deal in secrets. Jace docked his ship in silence. As he stepped out, eyes followed. Him, human and alien both. He found his contact in a shadowy chamber lit by a single red light. Tarn, Jace said, nodding. Tarn was big, with metal arms and a twisted smile. Still breathing, Jace? Didn't expect you to come back to our side of space. I need safe passage, Jace said, for me and passengers. I heard, Tarn said, grinning. You're the one traveling with the traitor princess and her freak daughter. Jace's heart tightened. Tarn leaned closer. That girl's worth a fortune, you know. Royals are desperate to get her back. Whole fleets are moving. I'm not selling them, Jace said coldly. I didn't say you were. Tarn smirked. But you should know. There's a price on your head too now, for helping her escape. Jace narrowed his eyes. So what's this meeting really about? Before Tarn could answer, the door opened, and 3 bounty hunters walked in, all armed, all ready. You betrayed me, Jace growled. Tarn shrugged. It's just business. The bounty hunters raised their weapons, but Jace was faster. He rolled behind a crate, pulled his blaster, and fired 2 quick shots. One hit a hunter in the leg, the other shot a light above, dropping sparks everywhere. In the chaos, he slipped out a back door. Tarn shouted behind him, Run all you want, Jace, there's nowhere left to hide. Back on the Wayfarer, Ylira felt it first. a strange pain in her chest. She looked out the window and saw a signal flare rise above the hollow moon, the signal for a bounty claim. Her heart dropped. Something had gone wrong. Mira ran to her. "What's that light?" Ylira picked her up and pressed a hand to the wall, activating the emergency recall for the shuttle. She whispered, "Hold on to me, Starshine." Moments later, the hatch flew open, and Jace stumbled in, bleeding from a wound on his side. "Fly. Now," he shouted. Ylira rushed to the controls. "What happened? Your secret's out. Everyone wants her, even my own people." The ship rose fast. Engines roared. The hollow moon shrank behind them, but several pirate ships began chasing. "They're locking on," Ylira shouted. "I'll handle the guns," Jace yelled, grabbing the turret controls. Mira stood in the middle of the ship, her eyes wide. As the ship shook, so did she. "Not again," she whispered. Her hands began to glow. "No, Mira," Ylira cried. "Don't lose control." But it was too late. A wave of energy burst from the girl. Pure, white light rushed through the ship and out into space. The chasing ships stopped suddenly. Their engines failed. Lights died. One crashed into a rock field. Inside the Wayfarer, silence returned. Jace sat down, exhausted. What did she do? Ylira's hands were shaking. She didn't destroy them. She just stopped them, froze their energy. Jace looked at Mira. The girl was breathing hard, but she didn't look afraid. She looked calm. "She saved us," he said. Ylira nodded slowly. "But now the whole galaxy knows how powerful she is." Jace stood. "Then it's time to stop running." Ylira stared at him. "What do you mean?" "I mean we stop hiding like prey. We fight. But we need allies, people who hate the Empire as much as we do." She stepped close. "Where will we find them?" He looked out at the stars. "I know. Just the place." The human known as Jace had once worn armor, not grease-stained jackets. Long ago, he was a soldier, a captain in the Outer Rebellion forces during the Human-Alien War. Now he was ready to become that man again. But this time, he wasn't fighting for Earth. He was fighting for a fallen alien princess and her half-human daughter. The ship, Wayfarer, entered orbit above the scarred moon of Farian Delta. The moon was dead, its surface cracked from old battles, its air poisoned. But deep underground lived something dangerous: the Iron Circle. A group of ex-human rebels, deserters, and war criminals who had one thing in common. They hated the Zareth Empire. "They won't trust me," Ylira warned. "I'm a royal." Jace looked at her, calm and firm. "They'll trust me, and if not, I'll make them listen." Ylira didn't argue. She had stopped arguing with him. There was steel in his voice now. Since the betrayal at Hollow Moon, Jace had changed. He no longer looked like a traitor. He looked like a leader. They landed in a dust storm. A group of armored humans with scarred faces and cybernetic limbs surrounded the ship. Their leader, a woman named Captain Vexa, walked forward. She had once been known as the Red Ghost, a brutal commander who had vanished after the war ended. "You've got guts coming here, Jace," Vexa said, her voice cold. "Last time we fought together, you left me behind on a burning ship." "I came back for you," Jace replied. "You just weren't there." She smiled a little. Still a smooth talker. Jace stepped aside and gestured to Ylira and Mira. "They're why I'm here." Vexa looked at the alien princess with disgust. "You brought a royal to my base?" "She's not like them," Jace said quickly. "She's running from them. And the girl, she's something they fear." Mira peeked out from behind her mother, her glowing eyes wide. "What's her name?" Vexa asked. "Mira," Ylira answered. "She's my daughter, and the Empire wants her either in chains or in a grave." Captain Vexa stared at them both, then turned back to Jace. "Why should I risk my men for them?" Jace stepped forward. "Because you lost your family to royal bombs. Because you said the war would never truly be over until their empire fell. Well, this girl might be the one thing that can break them. He leaned closer. And because if we win, you get revenge. That night, the base came alive. Fighters were pulled from hangars. Old weapons were unboxed and powered up. The Iron Circle hadn't moved in years, but now the spark was lit again. Jace gathered with the commanders around a flickering table holomap. The Zareth Empire placed a heavy bounty on Mira, he said. They want her dead or captured before her powers grow. That means they'll keep sending ships. And we'll keep shooting them down, Vexa growled. No, Jace said. We'll hit first. Hard. At their listening post on Thaler 7. That's where they track Mira's energy. We destroy that, we vanish again. Ylira stood quietly in the back. She watched Jace work. This human, who once refused to take her offer, was now moving soldiers, building plans, commanding a room full of killers, not as her servant, not even as her lover, but as her equal. She smiled softly. He didn't need to be a prince to lead a war. Before the attack, Ylira sat with Mira alone in a quiet chamber. Are you afraid? She asked her daughter. Mira nodded. Will I have to fight? Ylira held her hands gently. You don't need to fight, Starshine. But if your heart feels danger, you must protect yourself. Just don't lose who you are inside. Mira blinked. Can Daddy see us from the stars? Ylira felt a tear form. Yes, my love, he's watching and he'd be proud of you. Suddenly the alarm buzzed. All units to launch position. Operation Night Flame begins in 10 minutes. The Iron Circle warships, black and sharp like daggers, launched into the stars. Wayfarer led the strike. Thaler 7's listening post floated like a silent eye in space, guarded by 4 royal ships. But they were not ready for what came, Jace commanded, the attack with fire in his voice. Squad Alpha, go for the sensors. Bravo, jam comms, hit fast, hit hard. Blasters fired. Explosions ripped through space. Inside Wayfarer, Mira sat in the control room, her tiny hand resting on a screen. She whispered, "Let him be safe." And the ship glowed softly under her touch. Faster, stronger, unbreakable. The battle didn't last long. In just 6 minutes, the Empire's ships were dust. The listening post was shattered. And for the first time in years, Ylira and Mira were off the grid. Free. In the silent aftermath, Jace stood on the observation deck watching the stars. Ylira joined him. We won, she said. Today, Jace replied. But they'll come again. She nodded. Then we'll fight again. He turned to her. Not as concubine and protector. Not as royalty and commoner. But together. She took his hand. Together, she agreed. The stars burned quietly now. Thaler 7's ruins floated as silent wreckage, torn metal, scattered comm towers, drifting corpses in royal armor. The battle was over. The humans had won. But peace was still far away. Inside the Iron Circle base, the atmosphere was tense. Soldiers patched up wounds. Mechanics worked day and night to rebuild old warships. Everyone knew it. The Empire would return, and next time they would not send scouts, they would send an armada. Ylira sat at the far end of a war table, her white hair clean and braided now, skin healed, but eyes still heavy. On one side stood Captain Vexa. On the other, Jace. He looked different now. He wore armor again, not polished, not shiny, but worn, battle-tested, human-made. A metal plate covered his left shoulder, marked with the old symbol of Earth's resistance, a shattered crown. We have maybe a week, he said, pointing at the map. A week before the royal fleet reaches this sector. Vexa grunted. We can't fight a full fleet with scrap metal and prayers. We don't have to, Jace replied. We just need to survive long enough to get Mira away. Ylira flinched. I will not run again, she said softly. Jace looked at her. She's your daughter. You'll do what's right for her. Ylira's jaw tightened. And what if what's right is to let her stand and face them? He was silent. Suddenly, Mira's small voice came from the doorway. I don't want to hide anymore. Everyone turned. The child, barely 7 years old, walked into the war room barefoot, her violet eyes glowing faintly. I want to help. I want to protect Mommy. And you, Jace? Vexa stared at her like she was a ghost. What is she? Jace answered. She's the reason their empire will fall. Later, alone in the quiet of the ship, Jace sat sharpening a blade. Old habit. Pointless, maybe. But it helped him think. Ylira entered silently. Do you regret it? She asked. Didn't look up. Regret what? Saving me. Saving her. Jace stopped sharpening. No. Ylira came closer, sat beside him. I offered myself to you as a concubine, she said. Not out of shame, but survival. But now I see it wasn't enough. Jace turned to her. What do you mean? She touched his chest softly. You became more than protector, more than savior. You became home. Jace looked into her eyes. He had seen stars die, men burn, and planets fall. But in her eyes, he saw something stronger than all that. He saw love and purpose. I don't want to be your owner, he said. You never were, she whispered. But if you let me, I'll call you my mate. Jace exhaled. Slowly, he reached for her hand. You already are, he said. And she smiled, truly smiled, for the first time since her kingdom fell. The day of the final stand arrived. The royal fleet tore through space like a black storm, dozens of ships massive and full of elite warriors. They came not just for Mira, but to send a message to every world. No royal blood may mix with humans. Inside the Iron Circle's command ship, Mira stood in a special chamber surrounded by energy conductors. Her power had grown, but she still needed help focusing it. Around her were engineers, alien scientists, and her mother. Jace stood by the war window, watching the stars flash. The battle had begun. Fighters clashed in the void. Explosions painted the sky. But the Iron Circle was outnumbered 5-1. They wouldn't win by firepower. They needed Mira. In the energy chamber, Mira began to cry. I'm scared. Ylira hugged her close. Do you remember the song I used to sing when you were little? Mira nodded. Sing it with me, Ylira whispered, and the two sang softly. An old royal lullaby. It echoed through the ship like a ghost. And as they sang, Mira's eyes turned silver. The ship trembled. Every royal vessel within range suddenly froze. Not destroyed, not damaged, just stopped. Engines dead. Weapons offline. Pilots slumped over. All of it silent. On Wayfarer's deck, Jace saw it unfold. She did it, Captain Vexa gasped. She disabled them, without firing. A shot. Jace smiled. That's what real power looks like. On the main Royal Command ship, the Zareth High Admiral screamed, She's too strong. Kill her! Kill her! They launched one last weapon, an ancient Sun Core missile. Big enough to destroy the moon itself. Jace's eyes widened. They're not trying to win anymore, they're trying to erase her. He rushed toward the engine deck, got on comms. Ylira, get Mira out of there now! But there was no time. The missile closed in, and then Mira screamed. It wasn't a normal scream. It was the scream of a child, with the blood of stars. White light burst from the chamber. The missile stopped mid-space, cracked, and shattered into harmless dust. Every screen went blank. Silence. Then one by one, royal ships began turning around and retreating. The war was over, and they had lost. To a girl, to a mother, to a human who believed in both. Weeks later, on the planet Orellan, a neutral world, a council was held. Ylira stood before hundreds of alien leaders, dressed not in royal robes but in armor. Mira stood beside her, holding Jace's hand. A representative from the Zareth Empire, red-faced and trembling, demanded answers. She broke the laws of bloodline, the alien shouted. She bore a child with a human. She is not fit to rule. Ylira raised her chin. I never asked to rule. I only asked to live, to protect my daughter, and you all tried to stop me. She looked at Jace. This man, this human, stood by me when my own people did not. He is more noble than 1,000 royal generals. He is not my slave, not my pet. He is my mate. Gasps filled the hall. I call him my mate, because he earned it. And if you cannot accept that, then perhaps your empire is more broken than you know. Silence. Then slowly, one alien stood. Then another, and another. Applause followed. Not all cheered, but enough did, and that was how change began. Later that night, under a quiet sky, Jace, Ylira, and Mira sat outside their small home on Orlin's green hills. You know, Jace said, for a guy who just wanted ship parts, I sure got into a lot of trouble. Ylira laughed. And gained a mate and a child. Mira yawned. Will I be normal now? Jace looked at her. No, kiddo. You'll be something better. Mira smiled and leaned against him. Ylira looked up at the stars. Once they had been full of fear. Now they were full of hope.